After last week's fantastic episode, it's obvious that we would get kind of a breather episode for Kimetsu no Yaiba. And I think it's for the best, I really do, because it was such a high point for the series. Music, animation, reaction to the episode, etc. That, honestly, there was just no way that we were going to see that beat probably this week, unless something really unexpected happened. But regardless of that, this episode is still amazing, and I think many are going to really appreciate this episode for different means. And the reason why is because Tanjiro, he didn't necessarily win, which I think is one of the greatest parts about this episode. Let me explain. Regardless of how amazing the last episode was, with just the build-up to the hopeless situation that Tanjiro is in to finally stand up against one of the 12 demon moons to bring him down, he seemed like he won. But when this episode starts, he realizes he didn't, which really just makes it so much better. It's so unexpected, so to say, because after everything that he put into trying to win, he still technically lost. We saw how far he pushed himself, how far he went, how he needed his sister Nezuko to come in and even help him just for he did not die. There was so much that had to be done just to be able to do what he did, the little he did to the 12 Demon Moon. So that says a lot. And to see that he did not actually take his life, actually take off his head and win, makes me really appreciate last episode's theme even more, because it truly was hopeless. He tried everything, but it was hopeless. He did stall, but that was it. And I really appreciate how we didn't have a massive jump in terms of power, because even if he's like one of the weaker versions of the 12 Demon Moons that, Tanjiro is fighting, I just don't think Tanjiro is ready for that. I just don't think he is ready for one of the strongest demons in existence that's directly underneath Muzan. I just don't think so. It wouldn't make sense to really jump this far ahead unless the series plans to end very quickly. And I do know that the series is still ongoing, so I know it's not going to be ending very quickly. So because of that, I just don't think it was time. It was time for him to take down one of these individuals. I just think he needs a lot more training, because he's only fought a few demons at this point in time. Just a few. He's fought some strong ones, but a few. And I think he needs to have more demons under his belt to be able to finally face something like that. To be able to reach the status of where these high-ranked demon slayers are. So, because of it, I think that this shows that Tanjiro has a lot to improve on, and I think that's kind of the main point of what this episode was wanting to show. Is that these new recruits, these new demon slayers, they're great, they have a lot of potential, but they need to work on a lot of things. One of the things that Tanjiro obviously learned, I think, from this is that there's a lot more forms that he can learn, like the 11th form that we saw from the person that helped him out in the first episode. He could actually obtain something that could even best someone that had these uncuttable strings that, he could not even cut at all without the help of his sister. So that is definitely something that showed him what he could be capable of. But also, he needs to be able to not let his emotions control him as much as he did in that fight. Regardless of how he's able to keep control, his emotions did get the better of him throughout that fight against the 12 Demon Moon. We saw it many times. And how much he pushed himself to where the point he couldn't even move is something that's even more concerning. Because if he has to do that on one demon, what happens if there's other demons? He could have been very unlucky in this fight, and let me explain. It's not just the fact that the demon survived, and got back up and was about to end him, but let's say hypothetically, Tanjiro did take him down, Tanjiro took him down, and the other demons that were a part of this man's family were still alive, and they stuck around and they were watching. What if Tanjiro he defeated him, but he passed out because he couldn't move. He couldn't do anything to defend himself, and the demons saw that. They could instantly get rid of him. They could end his life, and they might be able to bring him to Muzan to maybe get an upgrade or something. So that's the scary part about this, is that Tanjiro should never have to use that technique until it is the only option left. he cannot just utilize that technique on one demon, because there were so many risks that were in store for him if it went sideways. I mean, it was the only option he had available to him, obviously. I'm not gonna say that it was a bad thing. I'm just saying that he needs to be able to fight these demons without having to utilize that technique until he has to. Until it's life or death situation, which is what he did. But if he knows there's a bunch of demons around, I just don't think he should try to use that until he knows the coast is clear. So anyways, let's get right into the demon that was defeated. So, most of the time when it comes to Demon Slayer, all these demons usually get a backstory. They get a backstory to where we kind of can connect with them, understand why they are like they are. And I do like how mysterious this episode was for the demon, because it didn't try to necessarily make him a good person, which is kind of like all the flashbacks. They don't try to make him good, they just make you understand how they felt like they did. But we didn't even get that. We didn't even get a moment to where we could really feel pity for him. There was multiple instances of that throughout this episode, because with the main 12 Demon Moon, he was someone that's like, I don't remember anything from when I was human. I don't remember what I had, which is kind of sad, but he didn't remember, and he said he wanted to know what it was like. Maybe if he had a family, he would remember. Which, okay, it's honest goals. But the thing is he went about it in the wrong way. And the thing is, this is where it comes into question about the human heart. Yes, he's a demon, but let's be honest, he was once a human. And if you are, let's say, necessarily human still, what really determines if you're a good or bad person? Is it the things you learn along the way, or do you just necessarily start off inherently evil? And that's kind of the question that was brought up. You know, with him not knowing anything from his past, having no idea what his family was, him doing the actions he did, does that mean that he was always an evil soul, and always an evil man, or was it because he did something like that in the past as well, and there's a reason why he doesn't remember? Whatever the case may be, though, I do think that this episode wasn't trying to make us feel pity for the character, and it was mainly just showing how twisted he was, and how in the very end, he was a very sore loser that just, he went about it the wrong way. There was other ways he could do, but he never understood it in the end. And when you look at the girl that was obviously kind of tortured by him, that was also a demon, she was running away, and I think many before seeing this episode probably, like, felt bad for her. I know I did, at the very least. I felt bad for her. I was like, oh man, I hope she doesn't actually get killed. Especially when Shinobu jumped on top of her, like, I hope she actually gets to live. Especially when she said only 5, she started crying and all that. I'm like, whoa, you know, I hope that she actually gets to be okay. And I was, like, getting sad. And then we got to see a little bit of her flashback, but also the decision she made, which really shows what type of person she was, because she had a way out. She did have an out, but she didn't take it. She bit the very hand that was trying to save her. Even if it was very grotesque and messed up, she did kind of throw away her out. If she truly was a good, honest to God, good person, she would have chosen what Shinobu offered her, but she didn't. So that's the thing here. And let's get right into those details. Shinobu, she was a very mysterious character. When we see her in this episode, we don't really know much about her. We don't really know how her true personality is. We just think she's a little bit of a bubblehead, or, you know, I guess, goofball. And when you see her interact with the demon, you're like, is she going to instantly end the demon? But she doesn't. She's just very curious. She has a curiosity about the demon's powers, and was like, okay, answer these honest questions so we can be friends. How many people have you killed? And then she says 5, she's like, no, you're lying and all that. You know, it was obviously 80 plus. And she's like, what? Like, what does it matter? And she's like, okay, I'll be your friend though, but you're gonna have to suffer for every individual that you killed. For instance, let's say she killed 80 people. She would have to have 80 deaths. Now, obviously, she wouldn't be permanently dead because she's a demon. She could regenerate, which is what she was pointing out. She's like, look, it's going to be painful, but you're going to live. At the end of the day, there will be no after effects. You will be able to get up and move again. It's just you're gonna have to deal with some pain, some, suffering to kind of pay back for what you have done to other people. Even if it wasn't your intention on hurting these people and you were kind of forced by another individual, you still need to face judgment. And so she offered that. And even if she was going to do or not do it, the point was, is she had an option to choose that. But she didn't. That's the big thing we gotta look at. And because of that, she chose to attack her, which resulted in her dying. And from looking at Shinobu's character, we still don't know if she would have followed through with that. We don't really know if she would have given, I guess, her safety, allowed her to actually live once she took her punishment. Because when you look at, how she died, it's obvious that she could have easily have killed her instantly, and if she was a really malicious person that enjoyed torturing someone, she would have still continued to torture her for those 80 lives she took, but she didn't. She killed her instantly. So, it means that she is not necessarily sadistic, she's just someone that was like, you need to face judgment, and if you accept this judgment, then I will let you live, and you could have another option for life. But she didn't do it. So yeah, that's the big point I'm getting at is, I just don't think Shinobu is necessarily sadistic. I just think that she has a different way of viewing how someone can repent. Because just because you're a demon, you're forced in this situation, you couldn't control yourself at the start, it does not mean that you can't have a heart in some ways. Even if you're scared. And you still need to repent, and that's what she did. She didn't do it, and we know the rest. So okay, enough of that. Let's talk about, let's see, what else is there to talk about? Let's see, I talked about the 11th form, talked about the fight, the sore loser. I think I actually kind of covered everything. I really do. So if I go into that, if I missed anything, please forgive me. I apologize. But I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.